right, well, hello everyone. Welcome back to the Online Bible Institute Network podcast. I'm Douglas Laws. With me are Pastor Brain and my father, Pastor Steve Laws, the founder of the Online Bible Institute. So good to be here. Glad you guys could make it. How was y'all's week before we jump into our next talk on this podcast? Like, what are we up to?
Brain, you want to start?
Yeah, you started last week.
Yeah.
I was thinking about that. Yeah, it was a great day, a great week actually for me, because I'm so excited getting to see the process through as we reform the platform and the structure of our study. It's been a great week. That's about all I've been doing all week. And well, I was on leave, as you know, so I resumed duty as pastor of Mount Zion Baptist Church.
That's good.
Like, that's 2 days ago. And I'm just letting the people see me more and get used to my presence again.
Yeah, I had a good week. We've been busy. There's been a lot going on. So it seems like that season, there's a lot of things happening, but that's all good. God's got it. How about you, Doug? How was your week?
Yeah, it's been a good week. We my boys, I talk about them a lot in my personal life, but they got to play their hockey game Monday and they won their first game of the year. They'd been getting killed all season.
That's
and they got to play. My younger son Reed was the goalie. He did well, and my older son Steven played well. So that was exciting, and work is going well here. Can't complain. Yeah, it's been just a great week. And like Dad, you were saying, we're busy heading towards Easter always, and I'm sure it's the same way for you too, Brain. Just this season. Well, you just had to leave, and now, so like, Brain, have you been extra busy these last couple of days because you were off last month, or has it been like a gradual get back into work sort of deal?
Yeah, it's actually gradual, because one thing that I thank God for in the church is I have some guys who really took training seriously. I mean, the first segment of the Bible Institute we did, those that graduated, they're doing a great job. And so I sort of just leave the church to them and go my way. So yeah, like, we had Bible study yesterday, so I had one of the ministers share with us during the session. This one is actually a pastor that left his church and came fellowshipping with us. He had taken a few courses as well, and it was great. It's a gradual transition back in, and I almost thought to not preach on Sunday, but I have to do that. It's been 5 weeks. I have not 5
Itching
Sundays
for
I've
it.
not
I get
preached.
it.
Yeah, so I should do that. So I'm working on that. I'm trusting God. We're in a series on the fruit of the Spirit. So the last month, the people that were assigned were handling joy. I handled love before moving into the month of March actually. So I'm taking up peace this April, and it seems to be an exciting journey.
Yeah, good. That's a good thing.
That's great. So he's on the fruits of the Spirit. We've done talks on the fruits of the Spirit in the past too. I remember Dad's last real sabbatical was May of 22, right? 2022, yeah. And I got to do a few weeks in the fruit of the Spirit, and that was very exciting.
I'll be picking a few things from there.
Well, yeah.
That's a public confession.
Yeah, it's all good.
Well,
Yeah.
And this week, Dad, it looks like we're talking about a celebration in Luke chapter 15. Last week, you had talked about generosity, and we always get lots of feedback. You've done that mammon trap part in previous sermons, but I think that was your first time doing it in our series that we've been in. But this week, we're in Luke 15, and it's funny, I was doing an NT Wright course, Simply Jesus, on Udemy. And one of the sessions that I had gone over was on this chapter that we're looking at this week, with the two parables, and they kind of lead up to the prodigal son parable. So, why don't you kind of walk us through where you're going with this sermon as we're looking in Luke chapter 15 this week?
Yeah, I think it's a good, the generosity talk is fun. I don't do it very often because people get funny when the potential for people to get uncomfortable with discussions on money is a very real thing. So, and I don't want it to be that. Um, so I've always felt better being able to introduce some practical stuff with that rather than just this is what you got to do. And so I think some people needed to hear this is some of the things that you can do practically to sort of be able to step into generosity. Um, but this Luke 15 is kind of generosity again, if you would, and it's tied into grace, and it's three stories that are all tied together. They're all bound together by celebrations, and what's celebrated is a lost thing is found, and the lost thing is found, and there's a party. And then that's what happens. It happens with the sheep. And then it happens with the coin. The lost thing is found. There's a party, and then it happens with the son. Found, party, celebration. And the idea of the celebration is that's the heart of God is lost things being found. It's really the picture of restoration. That's what's being celebrated. There's a way back, and in Luke, it's sort of the dynamic is that a new thing is the new thing that God is doing has begun in Jesus, and there's a way back for all of us, and we're all prodigals. And the way it was sort of the stories were told to the Pharisees was because they were missing the new thing was coming, and they didn't. The Pharisees, they were convinced that the kingdom would come by people following the rules, by following the law. That was our whole deal. And that was it. That was how it happened. And Jesus was saying that's not how it happens. This is how it happens. It's a whole different sort of thing. And it's all based on grace. And you don't want to miss what God is doing, which was like what the older brother was going to do. He was going to miss it. He wasn't going to go to the celebration because how could you do that? This guy didn't do it right. He didn't follow the rules. He didn't perform well. I've been here. And you're having a party for it. I can't do it. And I think there's some definite connection there. I won't have time to talk about it this weekend, but there's connection there to Jacob and Esau, and how when Jacob left, it was because he had sort of done things that he shouldn't have done, and when he came back, Esau wasn't very happy, and I don't know that their relationship was ever what it needed to be. But in this story, the older brother is not having it. And I love that the father goes out and pursues the older brother as well and says, listen, it's not, you're missing the point. You're here and you should be part of this celebration, but we need to party because he was gone. He actually left and is back. And I think for us, one of the tendencies that we have is that once we come to know Jesus and we start walking this thing out, we start to slip into rule following, and we become just like the Pharisees, and we can lose the joy of the celebration of someone who's a mess coming back. And you never want to miss that. If someone returning touches off a party in heaven, which is what it says in those first two stories, and if we're all about that heaven and earth connection, and Jesus is standing there, in the space, and angels are rejoicing because there's a way for someone to get back, we need to make sure we always stay focused on that's at the heart of all of this, is the celebration that happens because there's a way back. And it was never about how much we earned it or how good we were or how hard we worked. It was always and will always be about the grace of God. And so that's what we have to celebrate. And that, I keep saying what I think Luke does such a good job is he puts these stories to help us know about the heart of Jesus. And this is also, it's the heart of Jesus. It's not only is his heart, the way that we know him more, not about him, but know him, it's reading the word, it's walking in forgiveness, it's, spending time in prayer, it's being generous, and it's being aware of the grace and the mercy and the goodness and the love of God and never losing sight of it. And so but we have to think about it because we become Pharisees really fast. I think over time I've developed some grace for the Pharisees because I get it, because It is very easy to shift from grace into performance, and it's like having to you have to work at the balance. You have to think about it. You have to spend time thinking about the balance, because it's right to do the next right thing, but we still, it's all because of grace that we even have the opportunity, and we don't always get it right, but we need to celebrate the way back all the time, and remember that there's a way back for us, and that's what those stories are so good about. Was the heart of God, and that it sort of demonstrates the entire rescue mission, right? That's why Jesus came, to make a way back, and so yeah, it's important that we, I think, grab a hold of those ideas and make that connection. But the overall behind it thing is never forgetting the grace and the mercy and the goodness of God.
Yeah, that's going to be good. The one of the thoughts, couple of thoughts I had. I'm doing another Bible project course, and those are so good. And they really help you grasp some of the cultural importance of some things, right? So, I wonder, with the two sons, we see two sons in the Bible so often in the Old Testament, what they would have known. You mentioned Jacob and Esau. We would have even seen farther back Cain and Abel, just different brothers. You see Noah's son. So, was Jesus intentionally using two sons in this parable to kind of tie in cultural elements? Do you think you see some of that happening? Like, that would have been right on the forefront of their minds, and it's just, it's cool that he's able to take that and put this point that you're making, where when lost or found, that's what's worth celebrating. So he's tying all of these things in. And the fact that, like, I'm going over it and seeing it, even in our sermons now, it's so cool. And then just the way Jesus came just to change the old way and to bring the new way of doing things, and what he does. And this is it's cultural norms, because the Pharisees, right? We've talked about it in some of our classes. They were like trying to be protectors of their cultural norms. And Jesus came to shift that. So I think when you think of the Pharisees that way, because a lot of times our perspective is just they're these mean guys with the cowls, and but if you think of them as they're just trying to protect their way of doing things, that allows you to be a little more sympathetic, but also to see Jesus changing things is cool. He's like, guys, let's do it. Here's this new way. And Jesus never he didn't conform to societal norms, which is why I think the Pharisees really opposed him. One of the reasons, not obviously the only reason, but it's like, hey, you're completely changing everything. Stop, like, don't you know it should be like this?
He didn't conform because he was it. When he was
there,
he was the way. He was it. Right. I am the way, the truth. He didn't need to conform. This is it. I'm right in front of you.
No, he was here to bring a new way. He was the way.
Yeah.
And just the impact that would have had on these guys that he's talking to.
There's lots of sibling rivalries and problems throughout the Bible. It's one of the main sort of things that happens.
And you can even see, like, just it's so cool. I was about to make a point and I realized it wasn't a very good point, but just seeing how Jesus works things is so cool. Yeah.
And the fact that he transforms culture is something we are really still to learn, because we don't have that. We value our cultures, and we sort of very often try to elevate our culture above others. Well, that may be different somehow to the African context. When we're comparing our African cultures one with another, we sort of tend to elevate our own above the others. And when we look at the African culture and the culture in the West, we tend to have this kind of inferiority complex. Like, yeah, we're not good enough. And I even heard someone say that the Americans are closer to God. That's why they're so prosperous. I'm like, really?
You can tell them. Yeah, I know some guys. You won't believe it.
Well, if the guys I know, if you're referring to you, then I should be believing that.
Mm-hmm.
Your passion for God is so amazing. But we do that, and it becomes a problem. I preached a sermon that I think that was 21, 22, balancing faith and works. And uh, as I was preaching, I saw that it was really difficult for the church to understand what I'm trying to talk about, because we see we are in a reward culture. You spoke about that sometime back. We are in a culture that says, do this and I'll reward you with this. And so we sort of do works in order to get the favor of some God. And in this case, for Christians, we kind of import that into Christianity. But we just need to understand that we have the favor of God, and it motivates us to do work. It should be a consequence. Works should be a consequence of our faith and of the favor that we have with God, and not a prerequisite to that. So it's hard for us to grasp, but we're getting it. I think it suffices to do good biblical studies, and the people are just wild with it. It's great.
Yeah. But that's been a struggle forever, is show faith and works, right? I mean, that they didn't, even a lot of the sort of, people that we look to over the last 3 or 4 centuries would have arguments about, why is James in the Bible? It's like, because they get frustrated that it's in there, and it's just how it, like you said, it's how it evolves. We're not working to earn anything. We've already gotten it all. Right. But it comes out of a heart that has received, that we want to, I always call it living by doing the next right thing, the best we can.
That's right.
But he's already given us everything. So, we're just moving in response to that. But yeah, it's a interesting dynamic all over the world. There's no doubt.
Yeah, I even wrote, we actually, the 3 of us are taking a course now together with Putty Putman, and next week we're going to have Putty on the podcast with us. We're very excited, yeah. So you'll want to catch that one. But it's such a trap of the enemy, because you just mentioned, it's if you do this, then you get this. You know what I mean? And I think so often our human nature is we just want to be able to do one thing to get our desired thing. It's not how the kingdom works. We can think of it, we can apply that to anything. Like something is like losing weight, it's like, do you really want to diet and exercise, or is there a pill I can take that just magically sheds the weight? We look for things like that. And, like I apologize if you're taking, something for losing weight, but it's like, Dad, you've even taught, it's been a long time since you've done a weight loss sermon. That's probably like the one thing that's harder to preach than money, because people get really sensitive about that, because they don't want to hear, well, you need to eat. But it's just, anyway, I'm taking that same principle. If you do this, right, then you get this. And we look for that in our faith as well. It's like, well, what's the bare minimum I have to do in order to, be safe? And everybody's looking for those kind of answers, and that's just not how it actually is. So it's
people,
yeah. And
the whole weight. I only say that because I have lost a bunch of weight over different periods of my life.
Yeah, you have some expertise on it.
So the only way you can do it is you eat less and you move more. That's
right.
It.
That's it. It's the same.
But nobody wants to hear it.
Nobody wants to hear that.
Eat less.
That's right.
Yeah.
I was going to comment about the weight, losing weight thing. Sometimes, I sit and I just, that's a way of relaxing for me. I just go into the KVC sites and try to see what's there, from the past. That's my way of trying to kind of fit into the culture.
Yeah, there's some big boy sermons on there.
And
I call those fat dad videos, because my father used to be 340 pounds. And so he's lost a ton of weight, and he,
that's great.
His discipline
I saw
is
him
commendable.
I saw pictures of him running, and I was like, really?
Yeah. I did some marathon. I did some triathlon. No, some
5Ks. 5K. Yeah. Our church hosted a 5K. We did a few years ago. I don't think we've done one since either Irma or COVID. I can't remember what
stopped them.
COVID stopped it, and they're just a lot of work to pull off.
It was.
And there's
really
a lot
impressive.
of 5Ks already.
Yeah, so we didn't.
There's pretty much a 5K every weekend.
Yeah.
I was going to make a comment about last week's sermon. I mean, it spoke to me very directly because we get to just spend everything. Sort of, we're so used to living from hand to mouth that it seems like it's the culture. It's like if you're not living hand to mouth, you're surely doing something wrong. So we get it and we spend it because the hope is at the end of the month we're going to have it back, and we keep moving from pillar to post like that. And at the end of the day, you save nothing, you invest nothing. And I personally know a lot of people who had a very good job, some working with the government and earning several 100,000, some even millions. And they retire and they do not have a home. They do not have a house of theirs. And I'm like, where did you come from? I mean, you actually came from a lot of money. It's not like the responsibility of the city or on your head, but and that's a mindset we have, and that ministered to me a lot. It gave me some serious skills. I'll be broadcasting that to my church on our online platform so that they can watch that and rewatch it. I know the context is yours, but we're talking about money. Money is a global thing, and we manage it in the same way. It's not like we would do it differently. So I'm intending to stream that for them to watch and get their comments and their commitment to spend better and be generous. And I've throughout the week I've practiced some really good generosity as well. I mean, I used to do that, but I thought I should only do that when I have enough. And so after that sermon, what I decided to do was I said, yeah, before I get anything that I have to get this month, let me help someone with the little that I had left on me. And so I gave that out.
Good.
And it came back. I should say it came back more than 100 times.
It's amazing.
And that's just it.
Yeah. It's amazing how generosity comes back.
That's right.
All the time. And it's like you can't make that happen, but it does happen. So
that's right.
When COVID hit here, and it was a big, problem everywhere, right? And everything shut down here, which we're not used to. I mean, just shut down. And people were shocked. And one of the weird things that we couldn't get here was toilet paper. I know but that was for us. It was a big deal for our people. What do you mean? There wasn't any. You couldn't buy it in the stores.
There was all sorts of random things. I think like cream cheese just had a random shortage. And then it's like sometimes eggs aren't available, and we're just like, just fix it. Like, what is your problem? Just you
seem to have a lot of problems with eggs. I don't know what eggs mean for you.
They're in everything here. Like I just like, please, can we figure out having eggs all the time at a price that isn't absurd? Like, why is this a thing? With chickens are in abundance. Like, figure it out, guys. And we don't know who we're talking to when we say those things. But
one of the things that we did during COVID though was we decided to. So I found a way to get toilet paper because
you bought commercial toilet paper, which didn't have the supply issues as residential toilet paper.
The hotels had it, and people couldn't go to the hotels, so they had toilet paper. They didn't. So they sold it. So I bought it.
Oh, you were buying it from the hotel. That's how you did it. Okay.
I bought it from the hotel.
That's
I bought it
smart.
commercially because all of a sudden they didn't. I'm like, who's got toilet paper? I said, I know who's got toilet paper. They got but here's what's funny. We spent, I would say this month we're going to let's spend this much money doing that. And almost every time I said it, within a day, and we already had it to spend it. I don't spend money I don't have. We had it to spend it. Almost within a day, that much money would come back. And it was ridiculous. And it happened like every month. I'd say, okay, this month we're going to do this. And we'd start buying it. And the next day, boom, there comes that money. And I'm like, oh, and we would, if it hadn't happened that way, that would also been good. But
that's right.
It's funny how that happens. That's, God is so involved in everything that he wants to remind you, okay, that's a good thing. So we had giveaways right after COVID, and we had people driving through our parking lot. We kept giving them 2 rolls of toilet paper. We did that every week for a long time.
We did that, and we were doing like HelloFresh style meals for people. That's where the Hello Vineyard sort of deal came through.
We did all kinds of stuff, but just thinking of ways to help people over a difficult time.
That's right. And the peace that comes with it, but not just the financial or material reward that you get.
Right.
I remember I have a friend, a colleague, pastor, whose wife had some challenges this week. She's pregnant and she had some issues. So when he called, I rushed there. When I got there and saw him, he was taking the wife to the laboratory. So I had a 10,000 francs on me. I mean, as little as that, that's much money for us here. And I closed my eyes. Actually, I didn't want to see it before giving. I closed my eyes and gave it to him the moment the thought came. And after that, there was a peace that came upon me that until now I can't explain. And what made it even worse, I mean, worse, better, but I'm looking for a good word for best, was that later that day, he called to thank me. And I was like, yeah, you're my friend. We should be doing this for each other. The way you thank me, when I gave you said thank you. And to have called me again at the end of the day to say thank you for that, it really meant a lot. I mean, I felt like a savior at that point in time because it felt good. So it pays back, and we should look for the peace that come with it when we do it from the depth of our hearts. Because another thing people can do is let me give so that it'll come back to me, and it doesn't always happen like that. But we're fortunate when it happens.
Yeah, it doesn't always happen like that. Sometimes it's just a willingness. When I was a new Christian, I was with a guy, and he was just a hardworking guy, but I know he didn't have any money. You know what I mean? And somebody came up and was in a bad situation, and this guy just pulled out a $20 bill and handed it. I mean, without even thinking about it. I remember being so impressed by that because he didn't have it, but he was like, but he, he had it obviously, but he needed it, but he gave it.
Right.
And I was like, oh, okay. Well, see, that's how that stuff works. Yeah. It's good.
Right. Yeah. Looking forward to this weekend.
Yeah. It should be, I'm looking forward to it too. It's a good thing.
We're going to have a good time. And yeah, if you're a part of the Bible Institute, you can check out our services at Keys Vineyard Church. We're all going to be there this weekend, 2 of us in person, and Pastor Brain is our online pastor at the Keys Vineyard Church. So yeah, it's going to be good. We'll be live Saturday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Sunday, 8, 9:30, and 11. Check us out on the Facebook, the YouTube, all that good stuff. This has been a great talk. I've really enjoyed these. And next week, we're going to have Putty with us. That's going to be fun. Putty Putman. Check his stuff out. He's the founder of the School of Kingdom Ministry. He's currently launching a new ministry, Kingdom Labs. I don't know if those are public yet, but that's like his goal coming up. So I'm sure he'll talk about that a bit. And
yeah.
He's got a church plant going in Arizona, right? Somewhere in Arizona. Yeah.
Yeah.
Vineyard
you guys will like him. He's a brilliant guy. Yeah.
He's a physicist turned pastor.
Yeah.
So,
I was going to mention that, knowing who he is, his secular background and educational background, of course, and the theological wealth of knowledge he has, I sort of pity the Christians he would raise because they'll be Bible nerds, literally.
Yeah. Yeah. No, you guys will enjoy him. I enjoy talking to him. He's really smart. And, he just has a lot to offer. So we'll look forward to that.
Yeah.
So hopefully, technically, everything goes well, and that will be our next podcast.
We'll run it as best as we can. And anyway, thank you all so much for being a part. Keep taking your courses, read your Bibles, and we will see you next week.